Hi, I'm Addy. I've been wanting to make this video for a bit, and I had a more overarching premise from the start, but I kind of gave up. I wanted to cover a lot more, but I just can't. Today we're talking about Shadiversity. Shad is a YouTuber that has a main channel where he talks a lot about medieval history with a big scope on weaponry and medieval accuracy in general. He does a lot with fantasy and media reviews in regards to that accuracy as well. On the surface, this is nothing. He is very knowledgeable and very informative. But he hides his probably unsurprising politics behind a separate channel called the KNIGHTS WATCH. This channel is less about medieval accuracy and more so reviewing the plots and characters. Again, it seems harmless, but God, his insufferability skyrockets when he gets political. Shad is a religious conservative. If you don't really know what this means, it means he hates change and loves tradition, and it's backed up by his religious beliefs. I have no hate for religious people, but I have qualms about organized religion, especially when it goes hand in hand with politics and governing bodies, but religion and spirituality are generally fine. What I do have a problem with is conservatives and conservatism. Conservatism in the modern day typically defends capitalism and its atrocities, bigotry involving racism, homophobia, and transphobia, among other generally negative stuff, and kind of just complaining that their outdated worldviews aren't being upheld. Shad is no different, except that compared to bigger conservative channels, I doubt he's really impacting his audience's views, as they're typically already in agreement with him. He probably isn't causing any of those viewers to do extreme things, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be scrutinized. Going into this, I expected his main channel to be less clean of his political views, but there really isn't much, unless there's like tiny pieces and clips in the videos, but I'm not looking for every single piece. But that's the exact opposite on his KNIGHTS WATCH channel. I wanted to look through as much as I could, then look at his Twitter and his Reddit, the whole shebang, but I watched a handful of the videos on KNIGHTS WATCH and I couldn't do much more. The content is so boring, and this guy feels like the comment section of a Reddit post, but turned into 20 to 45 to 90-minute videos, sometimes longer. His titles and thumbnails are full of dog whistles saying blank is woke or is blank pushing an agenda, and this bullshit is so ridiculous. And by the time I finally watched my last video, I was done. I couldn't do much more. So for this video, I watched a handful of videos that I thought might be the worst offenders, but that I could also comment on without the media he's reviewing being too relevant, since I don't really watch much TV. So we'll just go video by video, and there will be thumbnails and timestamps at the top left, as well as links to each video I use in this project because I know he doesn't like people taking him out of context. So video 1 is his homepage video that's recommended when you find his page, of course. I didn't find a lot, but I'm glad I watched it because this was one of the single worst offenses I have found from Shad.
You saw the trailer, right? There shouldn't be a spoiler. There's two flashes.
Yeah.
The other flash, multiple times, I just wanted to shut up. You are acting like a mentally disabled, like arrested development moron.
That's the point. That was the point.
And then, unbelievably, we get a more version of that Flash in his younger self, who are, like, multiple times, I just wanted to hit that younger version. He's literally acting like a mentally deficient moron. I'm doing this. I just like, shut up! Gosh!
Or as they're called, teenagers.
No. This is a mentally deficient teenager.
There's a lot of those shows.
No, this is truly, it's hard for me to believe someone could be this without being legitimately mentally disabled. It's that level of stupid for his younger self character.
I don't care who you are or who you're talking about, but these comments are vile. Not only is this projected at the character or the actor, despite what the actor has done, but the way he words it, he puts offense on anyone with any sort of mental disability. He said, "It's hard for me to believe that someone could be this R-worded without being legitimately mentally disabled." Because I know Shad and his fanboys will refute the use of the R slur as a genuine slur, this word has a long history. Its use started becoming specifically targeted towards disabled peoples, especially those with mental disabilities, around the 1950s. I know that most times people use this word socially. It's not directly targeted towards disabled people, but just like any slur, no matter the situation, it's still offensive. This comment made me genuinely sick to my stomach. Not everything left is this bad, but if you were expecting to walk through what I found, trust me, it's gonna be quite the roller coaster. Next up is his dub video. This one is kind of a lot, and I'm not even done with this part of the script. Not necessarily all I say is in response to a specific clip, but I'm gonna try to keep what I say not too rambly or angry, because this video specifically made me so frustrated, and I have a lot that I want to say. If you don't know what this Dove ad is, it's an ad in which 4 ladies were turned into pretty cool video game characters. This ad was made not only to call out beauty standards, but to specifically do so in the video game market and the sexualization and overuse of the same body types that are all too common in video games. The anti-SJW, anti-woke people had a heyday with this. But of course, they didn't target just any of the ladies in the ad. They targeted the plus-sized lady, who Dove made a video on. So everyone and their grandmothers watched it and commented on it, including Shad and his little guys. The first clip, they highlight the dichotomy of plus-sized women and fat men.
Well, it's plus-size women and fat men. That's how we distinguish these two things.
This is seems to be the terminology that they promote.
I don't really have much to say about this, but I believe it has everything to do with beauty standards and how they are applied to everyday people. Lots of plus-sized women don't mind being called fat, and I'm sure many fat men would be fine with or prefer being called plus-sized. But because of the stereotypically perceived pettiness of women and the expectations of men to be uncaring about menial things and to be stalwart despite this. Either way, people have the right to call themselves whatever they want, and if someone prefers one to the other, then why should you care? Our next point shows Shad's openness to the inclusion of non-stereotypical beauty standards in media, and video games specifically.
And seriously, I was interested in playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right.
Then I saw what they did to the main character. They made her look like Nikocado Avocado. You know that guy? You see the side by side?
I've never made that connection.
But no, okay. You see, we'll bring up an image. Right. Find the image. Yeah. You see whatever her name is, and then the guy,
Aloy.
And they have the same facial structure. It's just like...
This dude didn't play a video game he was highly interested in just because he thinks the main character is ugly. I'm sorry, Shad, that you think normal, average human-looking humans are ugly. I'm sorry that feminism got to a point that one lady main character, who's literally out in the wild, doesn't have a full face of makeup with freshly conditioned hair 24/7 with her tits popping out and flying everywhere when they run. And when you stare at her ass, it's not jiggling all over the place, keeping you distracted from the game. So sorry.
So many men are simps. And so many men are like, a woman is a woman, so they don't care. Like, I see it a lot these days.
Yes, and those men are right. Looks don't matter. A woman is still a woman no matter how she looks. A man is still a man no matter how he looks.
A male thing, and this just comes off to most gamers as an attack on our own preferences than it is a supportive kind of ad campaign for women saying, you're wonderful the way you are, which I don't necessarily think is a positive message, by the way.
This point is going to come up later on the stats of men compared to women in gaming, so I won't directly address that here, but it is relevant. Why don't women's preferences matter? If you want to play a game catered to straight men, find literally any video game with a woman, and there you go. But not everyone, and especially not every woman, wants that same body type so overused in the games they play. This ad is literally telling you women should have their opinions and preferences applied to this as well as men's. And they are telling you that they don't all want that body type used everywhere because women are not like that, and perpetuating that only strengthens dangerous beauty standards. And brainwashes women of all ages that to be beautiful, they have to match this as close as possible, and it strengthens the opposite, where men believe that women should match this as close as possible.
This is like, they make shampoo. Why are they making a gaming ad? I don't get this.
Exactly.
My main point is, why does it matter who does it? If it was anyone else, you would still have the same opinion. Either way, they are also a beauty-related company, so I don't see what the problem is. Sure, it's probably just a corporate move, but I'd rather Dove say it than no one at all.
And an overweight woman that's actually exercising, all right, and trying to improve themselves is actually more attractive than the exact same shape overweight woman who says, I'm beautiful the way I am.
Yeah.
What that will cause, for most guys, is resent. Saying, no, you like, what is this reality where suddenly I'm not entitled to what I'm attracted to, and you are saying I am somehow bigoted for saying I'm attracted to conventionally shaped women?
You can be attracted to conventionally shaped women, but saying that everyone that is attracted to women is the same and has the same preferences as you is wrong. And not every overweight person can just work out. And if they do, it might not do anything. Working out is good for your health, but sometimes your body has something keeping your body weight higher than other people's. On top of that, everyone has different averages for their body weight. Some people just naturally have a higher average body weight. Telling these people that it doesn't matter and they have to work out because you think they aren't beautiful.
It's one of those things where it's like they say they don't have to work on themselves. And it's like, well, I go to the gym, I do it, you can do it too. You're just lazy. I'm sorry. Like, it just gets to a point where it's like, I don't like doing... Working out isn't fun. I mean, well, it's kind of fun. It's a chore more than anything else. But you want to do it to maintain something, like whether it's your strength, whether it's your body, whether it's all... It's hard to do. It's not an easy thing to do. So when people say, no, I'm not going to do anything about it, it's like, well, okay, you open yourself up to criticism.
Not everyone has the time or energy or even the ability to work out consistently enough. Working out every now and then is good for you, but it won't do much for your weight. And what about smaller people that are equally underweight but still match the stereotypical beauty standards closer than plus-sized people? They wouldn't have to work that hard to get to that point because it is simply closer. But this also leaves the impression on women that being smaller is better than being larger. So women whose weight is perfectly fine may develop eating disorders or other ways to... But this also leaves the impression on women that being smaller is better than being larger. So women whose weight is perfectly fine may develop eating disorders or other ways to look smaller than they should, especially when you perpetuate the idea that all you have to do to reach this goal is to eat less. And don't just simply eat less, eat what your body needs. That's how you stay healthy.
In that reality where suddenly you're a bigot now if you're not going to be willing to date a trans person. It's like, hang on, are you insane? Yes, the world is going insane because that's where it's at, where you are bigoted now if you will not be considered... You know, if you're not willing to go out with a guy is not willing to go out with a woman with a penis. It's insane.
Yes.
It's insane.
I am a trans lady, a woman with a penis, if you will. We don't want you either, Shat. For real though, if you have a preference for vaginas, that's completely valid. Genital preference is perfectly valid. If you agree that trans women are in fact women and know that they are not men, then a post-operation trans woman, a woman with a vagina, shouldn't be a problem for you. But I'm sure it is because you're transphobic. Listen to transphobic rhetoric, and would be spreading it more if it were more profitable to outweigh the hate. To you, trans women are men, so this doesn't matter in the first place. If you're attracted to a trans person and don't know they are trans at first, and come to find out that later that they are trans, if you decide you aren't attracted to them anymore based on the fact that they are trans, yes, you are transphobic. Also, why did you bring up trans people? Just wasn't necessary.
What I feel is so disingenuous here, right, is that she starts to feel dissatisfied with her avatar, which is, I've never come across anyone like that. Like me, when I make an avatar in a video game, do I want him to look like me, or do I want him to look like what, imaginary fantasy idyllic version?
Yeah. Well, it's like you said before off camera, it's escapism. Yeah. That's what a video game is. So...
Wow, Shad, it's almost like you aren't the only person to have ever played video games. Obviously, this varies with people, but yes, video games can be a form of escapism. Not everyone wants to play themselves. Some people just make characters. I personally choose a character that does look closer to what I look like, or would like to look like, but I'm also trans, so I don't look like how I want yet, but I'm not going for quote-unquote supermodel. I'm going for what I could genuinely look like. For most people, especially those that do like how they look in a mirror, they might pick a character that is them, but in the game. Some people, probably a lot of people, do that, or would if the options were given. Most video games don't have the best character customization with every single possible option ever, but they don't have to. The simple want is for there to be a good range of options that a lot of people can relate to, and sure, if they want a more idealized character that is farther from real life, that's perfectly fine. But that wasn't the issue. The issue comes from the over-sexualization of women in video games, who not only have a specific body type that has been almost entirely the only body type in video games for women, but typically more revealing in form-fitting clothing that is completely unnecessary and usually impractical for the setting, the actions, the story, and is only really there for the horny men who need to see a woman at least 75% naked for them to enjoy the game.
I can imagine, I can pretend, I can have an avatar that depicts some, and by the way, I have examples. And so this is me in Conan Exiles, and this is my character right here, right? Look at this guy. Yeah, see, so look how big and ripped my guy is right there. Because I don't, if I could ever achieve that, that would be awesome. I don't think I ever will. But does this depress me? Does this make me unsatisfied with who I am? It's bonkers.
Yeah.
My guy said I can imagine and pretend that the video game character is me and then chose the fucking Liver King. No one can get like this without steroids. I'm not one to really judge. If looking like this did help your self-esteem, then sure, do it. But same thing for what I would say with women wanting to have the stereotypical figure that we've been talking about. If you're doing it purely for yourself, then fucking do it. But if you're doing so because society is telling you that they won't love you unless you do, then reevaluate that decision and think about what you want. Though that applies more to people just overworking out and getting ripped rather than this idealized figure whose biceps are bigger than his fucking thighs. No, Shad, you're never going to achieve this.
Because I have read cases of teenage girls dealing with a lot of stress because they feel like they can't meet this idyllic standard. And then they get really warped perceptions where they're actually quite attractive and slim, but they don't think they're nearly close enough. And so what's the thing? It's
body dysmorphia. Yeah.
It might be that. It might be body dysmorphia, but stereotypically it does seem that women struggle with conditions of being stressed or overly sensitive about their period.
Well, funnily enough, a lot of men have this as well. Like if you go to the gym and you see a big, giant, buff guy, there are a lot of men like that who also suffer from body dysmorphia, and they feel like they need to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
To the point of depression and
to the point of using substances, to the point of abusing things, because even though you may look at you and go, "Well, that's a giant guy," they don't feel that way. And for women, it seems like it's sometimes the opposite way around.
Okay, so they just proved the whole point of this ad. Of course, people get body dysmorphia when every single person in media is pushing these standards that are so unrealistic for many people. Men that see being ripped to the point of substance usage and abuse as their unending goal are just as disillusioned as the women that go till they are starving themselves and sucking in their bellies so they can be and look smaller and smaller because society tells them to. Of course, men aren't often depicted as that large, except I guess in Conan Exiles, but men typically are more varied in their body types in media, while women stay small and overly skinny, especially in video games, where they create the characters, or at least the custom pieces for the creation of characters. It's no wonder that women see this preference in media made by men and believe that this preference should be reality, because men will see them as more attractive and more effeminate if they look like this. All they are doing in this ad is calling this distinction out and asking for it to be changed and more diverse for people that don't follow these specific shapes, which is most people.
They're to say, no, even obese, being, morbidly obese is, you must reinforce that and convince them to do that. Like, no, that's actually unhealthy. And yeah, it is true. Most guys will find that less attractive. And then it does a disservice to women to say, if all this positive reinforcement is trying to tell this woman, you're attractive, right? And most guys actually will not find overweight people, attractive, right?
So there is definitely a limit for everyone in what counts as morbidly obese. I'm not a doctor, I don't know where that cutoff is, even for my own body. I'm technically underweight, but I feel perfectly healthy. Of course, I'm not like in my own body, I don't know what's going on in there, but I at least feel comfortable. If people feel comfortable with their weight, are able to do everyday actions with little to no difficulties, then I don't think they should change. If their weight truly is a clinical issue that is directly causing issues with their body and impeding their ability to perform those everyday actions, then of course they should go see a professional who isn't just looking at them and deducing that everything they are struggling with is because of their weight. Fat phobia in medicine is rampant, it has no place in the doctor's office, and it has no place in society.
It comes down to a discipline issue. It's relatively easy to lose weight. You just need to be in a calorie deficiency, meaning you just don't need to consume a certain amount.
You don't need to exercise to lose weight.
You don't need to exercise. So it always comes down to like a discipline issue. So when I see people who are unwilling to not, like, if you're not willing to go to the gym, fine. But eat differently and you can change this thing.
Because the time and effort it takes for someone to gain or lose weight varies drastically. Saying it's easy is such a skewed point. If you feel like you are heavier than you'd like, go to a medical professional and get advice from them. Not everyone has the time, the energy, the ability to work out. And food has become littered with overly processed garbage, which is usually the cheapest option. Veggies and fruits and unprocessed meats have become less healthy and significantly more expensive, especially compared to the garbage on the shelves. If you say just eat less, become calorie deficient, again, this is different for every single person. We need a lot of food and energy, and cutting back won't just make you lose weight, it'll skew how your body processes that food and energy. But again, I barely know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me, and definitely don't listen to these dweebs. If you think you need help losing weight, or even gaining weight, find a doctor you can trust, and make a plan for yourself that works with your time, energy, and of course your money.
When I was heavier, right, to try and shame people like, no, how dare you, or you must find me attractive, ridiculous. It's against reality.
I would never demand someone find me attractive. That's weird.
I know, it's...
And I'm not going to demand someone to say I'm beautiful either.
Exactly, it's bonkers, but that's what this acceptance movement is demanding, and it's like, you're disconnected from reality.
This one really pissed me off the first time I saw this video. No one is demanding you of anything. No one is saying you need to find them attractive. If you do, fine. If you don't, fine. But they aren't demanding shit. They aren't demanding you to call them attractive. They are simply asking you to let them be comfortable and let them be themselves. And that if they or someone else finds them beautiful, that you don't need to interject and tell them that you don't find them attractive.
And if anything, the more idyllic representations of, the human form, which we see in superhero comic books and models and everything like that, that just encourages me to try and achieve it, if anything.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get this movement. Show me the male, ideal male archetype physique, because I want to be that. So I want the inspiration to go and do it.
This one is really silly because if anything, those idealized figures are just as, if not more, unrealistic than being morbidly underweight or morbidly overweight, because they don't have an endpoint except for your body's limits. Average and idealized, at least in his case, being different things. There is no ideal human body. If you personally have an ideal you wish to achieve, then that's what matters. Again, as long as you're doing it for yourself and not because society has told you to. Sure, there's probably averages. If you were to put every human being together and mix them into one, sure, you'd get some sort of average. But that average doesn't mean healthy, nor does it mean the best. Your personal preference is what should matter the most to you. If you wish to be the healthiest you can be, then go for it. But know that that's going to differ from person to person. It's almost like we aren't all carbon copies of each other.
Commentary on our pastime? Friggin' dove.
You make soap.
You make soap. Bloody hell. But no, they've decided they need to go on a crusade. And so this
74% of girls feel underrepresented in video games. I need a source for this.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you went to their website and did a simple Google search, you could actually find their fucking sources. In fact, here's a handful of them. I actually got these from Noah Samson. He did a video on this ad and listed Dove's sources, so I'm just kind of snatching them up. And they'll be in the description below, but I'm not really going to get into them right now.
Yeah.
Okay, even if you give me a source, okay, 74% of girls feel underrepresented in video games. Well, now we need to decide, well, what type of video games? Because like I said before, a large market of the mobile game ads is women. But in terms of...
You know what they did? They probably polled the women that work in their company.
Yeah.
And they, who don't play video games, and they probably show, you know, Lara Croft is like, do you feel this represents you? No. And their sample size is probably only 100 people in their own company.
Justin.
Again, quick Google search reveals that even if there is a larger number of women playing mobile games than men, the percent differences are no more than a 10% difference. And even still, if you were asked if you felt like video games and the characters in those video games represent you enough, you wouldn't be thinking of fucking Angry Birds or like all the weird Stickman games. You'd be thinking more of AAA games that are more so in the mainstream, that have fleshed out characters, and about how you feel they represent you and women in gaming as a whole. But again, the numbers don't matter because you're just fatphobic and sexist. Okay, next one is about Matt Walsh. I'm not joking when I say this. I hate this man more than any other human on the planet. This man is worse than Shad by about tenfold. He is the creator of the... I'm not calling it a documentary. The piece of media known as What is a Woman, and has said some pretty heinous shit. What does this have to do with Shad?
I think Matt can do some really great work.
This man has said that women are the most fertile at age 16, and has said that if a 12-year-old gets raped by her father, that she should be forced to keep the baby as evidence. He has called queer people groomers and pedophiles just for being queer. Yet people like him and the people that associate with him are saying pedophilic shit and defending the real pedophiles. Maybe Shad doesn't know this, but if this isn't a fucking wake-up call for him to reevaluate what side he's on, then I don't think anything will, unless God himself came down and said it to his fucking face.
Video format is a perfect example. You're watching this, a YouTube video. There's really good YouTube videos, and there are very bad YouTube videos.
This is definitely one of those options. I don't know. Matt Walsh is just a disgusting creep that makes me want to fucking vomit. Okay, this one is going to be a bit long, mostly because I'm talking a lot. This one is about Christians being forced back into the closet. To preface this one, I want to give my personal feelings on religion and conservatism because there's a big difference. It's not religion or Christianity that is the problem, it's conservatism. Now, religion on its own, I do have qualms about, like I said, especially when it makes its way into politics and governments, and again, most of that comes pre-packaged with conservatism. But religion being at the center of all that is still pretty bad. Conservatism doesn't always rely on religion, but when it does, especially when that religion is so tied up in government and politics, it makes social progress insanely more difficult, and it threatens to cause regression constantly. In the US, we've made a lot of good social progress, but laws are always being threatened, especially when funded by rich conservatives. LGBTQ+ related laws getting passed that support queer people is a lucky draw for us, and anti-LGBTQ+ laws are unsurprising, and somehow it gets worse. They just repealed Roe v. Wade last year. Shit like this is still happening by people like this. This is not okay.
Almost like coming out as a conservative was too far for them.
Yes, because conservatism is a stain. You don't come out as a conservative. You aren't born conservative, or one day realize that you are a conservative, and you just didn't know for a while. You learn it from other conservatives and adapt their words and feelings to match yours. So yes, being a conservative is too much for us.
Because there's other things that everyone would agree that doesn't matter about your sexual preferences is bad, like pedophilia. Really bad stuff, okay?
Yes, Shad, pedophilia is bad. My main thing here is that Shad says sexual preference a lot when he means sexual orientation. I'm sure he just doesn't think there's a difference, but the word preference implies that you chose your sexuality as opposed to just being that sexuality. But he says it a lot, so I thought I'd just point it out. Also pretty wild that when talking about sexual preferences / orientation, that he'd first think of pedophilia. Crazy that he links queer people with pedophilia that easy. It's almost like he's a queerphobic conservative asshole.
Now, when it comes to promotion, this is like, because people try and claim that saying LGBT plus agenda stuff in children's media and everything is like us saying get back in the closet and stuff like that. I don't know. We're talking about promotion the same way that people against us would object to teaching religious values to people who are really against religion and don't want their kids exposed to it.
Again, I have no problem with religion until it's in the government and in politics. Of course, I don't think religion or religious values should be taught in school because they are completely fabricated. Again, religion, being a Christian, isn't something you're born as. You learn about it and use it to inspire your worldviews. Many religious people and sects of religion can be very, very accepting, even compared to some non-religious people. It's not fully the religion, it's just often made worse in turn with religion. But no matter the views, I wouldn't want children learning about religion in school. Instead, teach them the history of religions like they already do, and what has happened because of them. LGBTQ+ issues are completely different from religion. I'm sorry, but gay people exist. Trans people exist. They were born with the gay and or the trans, and figured it out later in life. They would have found out eventually, with or without other people teaching them. Learning that gay and trans people exist, that who you like and who you identify is something you should embrace and discover. And the sooner they learn, the sooner they can be truer to themselves. Too often do children about elementary age realize this, not knowing what it really means, and are told they don't actually know yet, or are just flat out told that they aren't and should act how they're quote-unquote supposed to. It's disgusting. But conservatives love to conflate this simple idea with teaching children about sex. They say we want children to know the exact ins and the exact outs of gay sex and how the gruesome process of getting your genitals chopped off works. This, of course, has never happened. When children are taught about gay people, trans people, it's more so to teach them that they should be accepting of people that are different from you, and that if you are different in these ways, that you shouldn't be worried and should still be accepted by others.
When it's almost reversed, that there is this unhinged intolerance to religious conservative views that we've held for a long, long time.
Appeal to tradition. Your long-held views are typically bad and wrong. If you were to keep with even older Christian conservative views, you'd be really racist too. Luckily, most conservatives can't get away with being racist anymore.
When they try and say it's horribly bigoted and stuff like that, that's them saying that tolerance and acceptance of other people isn't enough. And we've been, like, on so many videos we've said, in practice as well, where I have friends with vastly different views to me, okay? And this includes people on, you know, of course, different race, different genders, different religious beliefs, different, all of that, different sexual preferences and stuff. Never, ever been an issue about being friends with people. And again, I judge people based on how they treat other people.
You know, the problem with that, Shad, is that believing that gay and trans people shouldn't exist, shouldn't have rights, however you wanted to word it, is a pretty bad way to treat any possibly gay or trans friends you have. Using the R slur constantly is a pretty bad way to treat any possibly disabled friends you have. Saying that women's preferences and comfortability doesn't matter is a pretty bad way to treat any women in your life. Saying that plus-sized people are all ugly and that you don't find them attractive is a pretty bad way to treat any of your plus-sized friends. These aren't political views, this is just you being a fucking asshole. Maybe you've never said this to any of those people, but if they knew that you said this and did this, why the fuck would they want to be your friend? Also, while yes, we want you to understand and support us, if you're just going to be an ignorant baby, then we'd at least like you to at least try to tolerate and accept us. That way you'll shut the fuck up and we won't have to listen to you baby rage over gay people existing.
It's at least equivalent, if not more so, that religion can form a stronger part of someone's identity and who they are than their gender even. Okay? But people love to deny the validity of my religion and belittle it all the time.
I won't deny this. This is a good point. But I don't think it really matters. You grew into religion, chose to stick with it, and choose to hate people align your politics with and live your life with religion at the center. It's that much of your identity because you made it such. I didn't make myself trans. I just am. The only reason I chose to transition is because I'm trans. I don't want to be trans. I fucking wish I was born a cis woman. But I wasn't, and I'm not. So I'm a trans woman. Still a woman, but trans. Gay people didn't wake up one day and decide they wanted to start being attracted to the same gender, they just are. The reason these are so intertwined with our identity is because of people like you. Homophobia was rampant for a long, long time, so the gays of the mid to late 1900s made sure you knew they were gay, and that they were angry, and that they weren't going to change, and would stay angry until homophobia was eradicated. And it's almost like that really helped. I'm trans. I don't keep it a secret. Not anymore. Because bigots are going to hate trans people whether I'm in the closet or not. But I live my life how I want despite that hate, and I'm proud of that.
And I have come to learn to know that that's part of life, because people have free will, freedom, and everything, and I can't take away someone's right to express themselves or to think whatever the hell they want about my beliefs. But they want to reverse that. They want to take away religious people's rights to have different opinions, okay, or even judgments and disagreements with other people's lifestyles because it forms their part of it. They say, you're denying my existence and identity, when they're willing to do something that is actually quite equivalently offensive, if they want to take offense at this.
First, if you did have the ability to take people's rights, would you? I already know that answer, but I want to hear this hypothetical play out in his mind. Second, who the fuck is trying to take away your rights? Literally over 80% of the earth is religious. You're not like a minority, you're literally the majority. Even in terms of Christianity versus other religion. No one is taking your rights or trying to take your rights. They're simply telling you that they want you to learn and be more open and accepting. And instead of learning and becoming more open and accepting, you hide behind religion and tell the world that these people are after you and your religion. But again, it's not even the religion, it's conservatism. It doesn't matter how much you deny it, gender and sex are different. This has been known since 1945, and LGBT studies started way before that. It's not like they invented it, you're just too ignorant to understand, and then decide to stay ignorant. Also, gender isn't an opinion or view, it's just how you see yourself and how you express yourself. Saying that transphobia and anti-Christian sentiments are the same is pretty stupid as is. But my arguments don't matter because you're just transphobic, and like you said, you aren't going to change.
There are people who think my religious beliefs are evil, vile, bad, and they think religion is a whole negative on society, and they go so far to be really bigoted and vile. And so what we need to come to is just accept that other people have different lifestyles, different opinions, let them do, live their lives, everything, so long as it does impact my freedoms, okay, and my ability to raise my kids and stuff like that. I won't force my religion.
It's almost like we tried this, and now they want to take all of our rights and take our children if we raise them in a way that they don't like. And it's weird. It's almost like queer people don't have a long history of killing, enslaving, and converting non-queer people. It must have been some other group of people, but who really knows?
Fruit Tales or Veggie Tales?
Veggie Tales, yeah.
Veggie Tales is a distinctly Christian show. And so I have those ones. My kids do watch them. They're a bit older now, but used to watch it a lot more.
I didn't really watch Fruit Tales that much as a kid, but I do know it was pretty religious. I don't care. Most people don't. If it aired today, no one would care. But one gay kissed in a kid's movie and it's all over.
Abstaining from using certain pronouns. That's an active thing they're trying to force you to do actively to appease their sensibilities, which is akin to me trying to force you to never drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Or to never look at pornography or something like that. Take away those freedoms, all right? And pornography I find grossly offensive, all right? And people who use and promote it, okay, I feel this is a very bad thing.
Thank God this is the last one for this video. Being trans is not a choice. Being religious is. Using pronouns is not a choice. You also use pronouns. Everyone does. If you are trans and society uses pronouns to refer to different genders, then obviously you can and probably will change your pronouns. You not drinking alcohol or watching porn is perfectly fine. Do whatever you want. But that is a choice that you are making based on the choice to follow religion that closely. But again, the conversation doesn't fucking matter. It never does. Because if you can't accept that trans people exist and are the gender that they fucking tell you, then why are we having this discussion? These final videos go directly together. They are videos about the woke mess known as the Mario movie. I'll be honest, I haven't watched it, but it looks fun. I know Jack Saint did a video on the reaction to the promotional trailer where they called out Princess Peach for wearing pants, even though she was go-karting, a sport well known for requiring pants. But that's not one of the videos we're talking about. Instead, we are talking about the 2 follow-ups. There's honestly not much, but it's of course still something.
I find it insufferable because I see it so often.
Yes.
Yeah, I think my daughter will actually love Peach because there's going to be a power fantasy kind of, she's so awesome that she always is amazing. She's an insufferable, and I find that insufferable. That's a Mary Sue. And so when I say it's annoying, those are things that annoy me. And the more I think about this film, the more insufferable I find it. But that's my own annoyance that I'm just sick of this crap. And when I see it, it annoys me more. Where in isolation, it probably wouldn't bother me as much, but it's just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So of course, it's still about the only woman main character in the movie. And of course, they call her a Mary Sue. A Mary Sue character is typically a character, almost always a woman, who is too strong and too powerful. So overly strong men characters are not Mary Sues, but a woman who is helping the main man character a little too much is a Mary Sue. Obviously, this is just sexism and it's stupid, but listen, the guy in the middle even said that she wasn't really a Mary Sue. She was just being a character. It's almost like she is a character. But Shad sees these strong women too much in media. I wish he'd give some examples. But maybe his daughter will like the prospect of being strong and cool. But of course, when she grows up, she'll find out that women are not allowed to be strong and cool.
I would have liked if Mario had saved the princess at least once. That would have been satisfying.
So as long as you hit the quota of saving the princess, the damsel, the woman, derogatory, then she's allowed to be a girl boss Mary Sue.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the fundamental, most bare bones theme of Mario in the original game was a damsel in distress story.
Yes.
Save the princess. These stories should not be hard to get wrong, and they get that completely wrong.
Whoa, subverting your expectations? I know, Shad, it's a revolutionary form of storytelling, but you'll figure it out eventually. Also, I feel like a damsel in distress story doesn't always have to have a damsel, or at least not a damsel that is a woman. Hell, Peach is better than Mario in a lot of the games where she's playable. In the movie, she's not a helpless lady, she's royalty that grew up in the Mushroom Kingdom, learned how to live in the Mushroom Kingdom, and Mario's just some guy from fucking Brooklyn. Of course, when he gets in trouble, she's gonna be the most reliable person.
Guess what? A lot of girls do like to be saved, okay? They like to be saved by the hero. A lot of guys do like to try and save and be the hero as well. And as a result, oftentimes those themes resonate and cause a strong emotional reaction. This is why I have a really positive emotional reaction when I see fatherhood depicted strongly, where a father is willing to sacrifice everything to save his children. That gets me. That gets me in the heart every time, and I can enjoy and connect to a film so much better. And even if I didn't understand the actual storytelling mechanics of what's going on, the result would be more positive. And I think a lot of people would have a more emotional investment in this film if they actually had more significant stakes at play, where Mario could be a far more winning hero, and he achieves things from his own competence, planning everything. There's only one kind of thing you could say he does that's clever. Everything else is a punching bag, and then he gets given a superpower, and because he has that superpower, then he wins. And he doesn't do much of his own competence to gain those powers and power-ups.
Parenthood and saving a young woman from a castle with a dragon that's gonna eat her or something are completely different. The closest we get to having to save someone in real life is like, I don't know, you're getting mugged and someone comes to your rescue. But to Shad, I guess only women can get mugged and only men can save them. But I feel like being a parent not only happens for longer, but is also far more common than saving someone from a dragon or from being mugged even. But also that parenthood feeling is a far more reasonable feeling that a lot of parents get. You want to make sure your kids, your family, are safe. I don't feel like that's solely a fatherly thing to feel, but I digress. On the other hand, you see a person getting eaten by a dragon or getting their car hijacked and getting saved, and you're not like, oh my god, I've done that. I've saved people. I did that. I relate so hard. 'Cause no, that hasn't happened to you. I'm sure in a realistic situation, a realistic setting, if you have gone through something like that was depicted in a movie, you could have that personal feeling connected to it. But how you link a man saving a woman in a very fictional story to that is beyond me, and even more confusing with Mario and Peach.
So is Mario a furry now?
Yeah. We see him as a cat, we see him as a raccoon.
Yeah.
But it's always been a raccoon.
He's always been. This isn't new.
Yeah.
Okay, I volunteer to lower my score lower. Now we're at a 4.
3, 2, 1.
Furries appear, instant downgrade.
Well, they also don't like furries, unsurprising.
Yet, if you want to look at classic heroic stories and everything, you would have the hero save the girl. That's just more classic storytelling.
Classic storytelling. It's almost like the people from those classic storytelling times weren't very creative and were far more sexist. It's almost like women were seen as a prize, their property, for fighting evil and being a good person. What a classic. And that wraps that video up, but for this last one, I didn't really have much. So instead, I'm gonna count every single time they say woke in this video.
Welcome back to the Watch. And Nathan, the Super Mario Brothers film. Is it woke or is it anti-woke? Is it a pushback against the woke agenda or is it dripping with wokeness?
And that's it. I hope you hated this experience as much as I did. I hope I never have to watch this guy ever again. There were going to be a couple more videos in here, specifically about the Hogwarts game and J.K. Rowling, and since I'm trans, it would have been perfect. But there wasn't a lot about trans people, weirdly, and I couldn't really do anything else with it. As well, I haven't played it, I know nothing about Harry Potter, and Shat wasn't there for any of the videos, so I decided against it. But I hope that these ones suffice, and that you get my point here. These guys are saying terrible stuff, but their audience is small and probably won't get much bigger unless Shad's mane blows up, but let's not be too hasty. Either way, I hope this format was fine. My next video, I'll try to make easier on myself. This one was just really hard to keep doing, but I'll try to make shorter, smaller videos, but we'll have to see. And if you like me, want to see more of what I do, of course there's this channel. I have at least one other video up, or you can go to my main channel, subscribe, there's already a video there you might like, and more is soon to come. And if you want to join my Discord, chat with me, we could use a boost in numbers. But that's it for now. Have a great day, don't spread hateful ideology, and remember, I love you, platonically.